Hi, and welcome to a webinar about heal your adrenals and live your highest path and purpose. I am Susanne Billander, a metamedicine master trainer. Metamedicine is not just about understanding and healing different symptoms. This is the time to get in contact with our true selves. It is time to recognize the old patterns, which could be the ones the body is showing us, and start live a life true to ourselves and the world. It is time to let ourselves blossom. Right now, on a collective level, we as a race are not yet humans. We operate as man, animal, meaning most of us are still reactive beings. Meaning, when we are reacting towards we are holding on to lower vibrations instead of seeing what is and acting with clarity in a way that is true to ourselves and therefore the world around us. So the metamedicine model is really demonstrating animal reactions. So when I show you soon the different brain layers, then we get a clear model of the different animal reactions we can have. We can understand the biological reaction by observing an animal pack. And someone told me, if you like to see metamedicine in action, go to the zoo. For each animal reaction we heal, which can be shown as symptom in the body, we activate the frontal lobe. And living from there means we become humans. The linguistic root of humans is actually light beings. So having a quick look at the different brain layers and what are the conflict themes. So for the brainstem, we got the survival theme. For the cerebellum, we got the protection theme. For the cerebral medulla, it's all about self-devaluation. And for the cerebral cortex, it's about territory and social issues, competition. If we saw through those reactions and healed our animal, what would life be like for you? Contemplating on that question is a great one to start sensing how life as a human will be. This is actually the difference between identifying and living a third dimensional reality towards the fifth dimensional reality we are all about moving into as a human race. And that is also becoming a human. So for you, how would life be like if it was beyond survival, protection, self-devaluation, and territory and social issues? Take a moment to actually press pause and sense what is coming through. The animal reactions are reflected in our endocrine system, which is our hormone system. I will give a short intro to the endocrine system, and then the focus today will be upon the adrenals. It is an amazing process to heal them because it's one important step in the evolutionary process from shifting from animal survival system to becoming a human. It is all about releasing what's stopping us from living our soul's highest path and purpose. Lots of healers are having a challenge to allow themselves to live their gift and express it to the world due to thousands of years of not being allowed to do our spiritual gifts and healing. When I saw the movie Pope Yuan, it touched me and probably reminded me how tough it was to be a woman back in the 8th century. We were not allowed to say, no, or do anything else than give birth to children and take care of the home. And I remember the first metamedicine trainers training in Germany, which was a room full of great healers. And we had the beautiful service to run through a fear releasing exercise when we fear for standing up, talking about who we were. So me and Richard, we guided people through a timeline journey to release the resistance to stand up and talk about what they did in a room full of people. And it was amazing. It was around 30 people, and me and Richard, we had quite a task to move around guiding people to release situations where they were hanged, tortured, burned, chopped, their head off, organ being cut off. And that was something that I will remember for the rest of my life. But this has led people to decision to keep quiet about their gift. And now it was time to release it so they could stand up and share their gift and their knowledge and their wisdom. So we haven't talked much about the hormonal system in meta medicine and meta health, but I'm very fascinated about it. And also recognizing what it has done for me to heal the different glands. The awareness about the hormonal system assists us creating a health that is transcending the absence of physical symptoms. It is a key to get grounded, attuned to the different universal energies, and centered in our heart. The hormonal system is made up of 8 major hormonal glands. We got the hypothalamus, which has the purpose of being the consolidator, and the pineal, which has the purpose of being the timekeeper. We got the pituitary, who is the organizer, and the thyroid, which is the energizer. And then we got the thymus, which is not much talked about, but it serves as the protector. And the pancreas is the balancer. The ovaries, the testes, are the life givers. And finally, the adrenals, which is the defender. Endocrine glands release hormones, and hormones are chemical messengers and are released into the blood, and these molecules travel throughout the body to reach sites where they are active. The hormone system is working along the nervous system to regulate the functions of the activities in the body. And although they exist in different parts of the body, they are very interlinked. If there is too little of one, then the gland increases the production, or another gland increases its production because it has the purpose to stimulate the production of the first one. When it's too high level of one hormone, it blocks the production of another hormone, which has the purpose to stimulate the production of the first hormone. The adrenals that we will spend time with are affecting all the other glands. So if they are in imbalance, that is destructive for the whole system. And if they are in good shape, that supports the rest of the hormone system. There are some signs of weak and stressed adrenals. And that would be being tired when you wake up after a good night's sleep, and that you can't start the day without coffee, and feel the need for salt and salty food. It's easy to feel more or less depressed, and a great cause of ME or chronic fatigue is stressed adrenals. And then we got also high blood pressure, high heartbeat, pressure in the head, and stress, but fatigue. And also there is a very clear sign if you get energy after 6 p.m. in the evening and after eating dinner. That could also be a sign of stressed adrenals. The adrenal glands are triangle-shaped endocrine glands that sits on the top of the kidneys. It has 2 layers to it. The outer layer is the adrenal cortex, which is from our meta-health knowledge related to the cerebral medulla, that brain layer. And the central in the adrenal medulla, that belongs to the brainstem brain layer. The adrenal helps us to preserve life, but it can also destroy life. These glands have a powerful influence on the hormonal health through its connection to the nervous system and the ovary and testes. It has the task to normalize the body's function in situations of high stress and danger. The adrenal cortex is producing cortisol. It is helpful in a stressful situation, but very dangerous when we live with stress in the long term. Any conflict that we can find in the organ tissue in the meta-health directory has a stress or conflict phase. And any stress will affect the adrenals to produce more cortisol. And that is why it's so easy to have an overactive adrenal. So let's have a look what a high level of cortisol can cause. The inner cortex is related to the ovaries and the testes and produces hormones similar to the sex hormones. If for any reason a woman would get raped, there will be a higher production of testosterone, which increases the strength in the muscles and it lowers the chance for the woman to become pregnant. So that is like a protection to not get pregnant from those kind of stressful events, traumatic events. It can also affect the reproductive hormones. Too much cortisol lowers the production of progesterone, and that is one factor in the premenstrual syndrome. High level of cortisol also causes a woman not to transition in the menopause. Because in the menopause, the woman's pituitary is supposed to switch the relationship with estrogen from the ovaries to the adrenals, the inner layer of the cortex, which has that hormone that is similar to estrogen. And if the woman has been stressed throughout her life and have a weak and stressed adrenals when she is about to transition in the menopause, then there is no new source of estrogen, and that causes the woman to have all the symptoms that she can have when she goes through the menopause, the hot flushes and so on. High level of cortisol also lowers the production of serotonin, which is the happy hormone. So it makes us feel more depressed. It's more difficult to feel the in life, just the pleasure of being. It also suppresses the DHEA, which is an anti-aging hormone, a memory hormone, and it also prevents nerve damage and supports the immune system. The interesting bit is here. Now we start to get to the link where the healing the adrenals has a lot to do with living our highest path and purpose. Because if we have a look in the meta-medicine directory or meta-health directory, then we find the conflict moving in the wrong direction or being pushed off the path. I have been in contact with quite a few people with ME or chronic fatigue symptom, And when I ask them in the moment, what makes your heart sing? Then they would start talking about what they are truly passionate about, and when they start talking about it, they will have energy. They have energy, so I'll stop them and say, wow, your body can make energy. You have it right now when you talk about what makes your heart sing. So, what is the problem? Or just do what makes your heart sing and you will have energy. And then the issue comes, because when one woman, for example, she was in a job, it was a very scientific engineering kind of job, and one day she just kind of realized, this is not for me, I'm moving in the wrong direction. In that moment, there is a program that is kicking in. And in the conflict phase, there will be a cell minus, which means there's less production of the cortisol, which makes us feel weak and tired. It is actually helping us, the body is helping us to not have energy to move further in the wrong direction. This could also be a case if you're walking in the right direction and feeling that you're being pushed off the path. I have one example of that too. I work with a dancer, and she had several symptoms, but she had really weak energy. So I asked her, did you feel like you were moving in the wrong direction or being pushed off the path? And then she told me a story that she and her partner, they were dancers, and they were having a company, a dancing company. So they were both competing in dancing, so they were like couples, they were competing together, and they were also running their business together. One day he broke up, and it wasn't just the loss of him as a partner, but she also lost the dancing partner and being thrown off the company. So she felt she was being pushed off the path. She enjoyed the path. She loved the dancing. She loved her company, and she felt she was being pushed off the path. And in that moment, she had the same reaction. Cell minus, which means less cortisol production, and she started being tired, having no energy. If and when we feel like we have a conflict resolution, meaning when we experience we are moving in the right direction again, or when we are getting back to the path we was pushed off, then we move into the regeneration phase. Here we got a cell plus reaction, meaning an increase of the cortisol production, often in a form of a hormone producing cyst. Cysts, they have a life of 9 months. And during that time, we actually have more access to cortisol, and that is like a kick in the butt. We get more energy to do what it takes to move in the right direction. One very important step in healing our adrenals and assisting the whole hormone system to move from survival to thrival is to start living our true path. The path that makes our heart sing. We all know what we love to do. And when we think about it, energy is there. If not, then we know that old traumas get activated. But that's okay too, because then when we notice old traumas being activated, it's time to release them. It's a help. When we see them, feel them, know about them, we can be with them, see through the illusion, and let go of them. All the traumas that are stopping us from living our true expressions are illusions. Our consciousness knows that, but we have to get into the presence to wake up to the illusions. There are many different processes to assist that. The blocks can be passed down from our ancestors, it can be past life, it can be this life. But when we have the curiosity to really take layer by layer, we will release them all. It is about moving from the ego's self-motivation with a small s, which is causing stress, to becoming self-motivated with a big S, which uses passion, divine timing as motivation. It just happens in the perfect flow. It's about choice, free will, and it for sure creates more in life, satisfaction. In other words, healing the adrenal cortex has to do with living our soul's highest path and purpose. And being true to our essence and work from that and expressing that is the only way for light beings to live in abundance. So if abundance isn't present in your life, then it is a great time right now to release what's stopping you on an unconscious level to live your truth. When we get back to feel the in our life and live our passion, do what makes our heart sing, then something happens. We get to open up the adrenal cortex, which switches the pituitary gland to produce serotonin, which is the feeling good hormone. And when we have more in our life, satisfaction, happiness, then the adrenal medulla can open up, because now that layer is ready to be awoken and released. But without in life, that can't be done, because life can feel very depressed if we get into the adrenal medulla without opening up the cortex first. It looks actually like our organism protects us from doing so. So the adrenal medulla is the core of the adrenal gland, and it is surrounded by the adrenal cortex. The adrenal medulla are the body's main source of circulating adrenaline and noradrenaline. These are the major hormones underlying the fight or flight response. It has the purpose to defend us. Adrenal medulla is made up of the same tissues like the nervous system and act as a branch of the sympathetic nervous system. In emergencies, the medulla can change the function of the heart rate, the circulation of the blood, moving the limbs without a thought, and the medulla creates adrenaline and noradrenaline. High levels of adrenaline gives an extra energy when needed, but in the long run, it creates a feeling of anticipation, heart tremble, high blood pressure, restlessness, even panic attacks, and the feeling like the worst can happen. High levels of noradrenaline creates more blood to the heart and the brain under threat. A person becomes more alert, focused, and ready for emergency. The blood is moving away from the lower body to supply the upper body. If we have a look in the Meta Medicine directory or the Meta Health directory, in order to find the underlying conflict behind the adrenal medulla, then we find an unstandable stress conflict. It has often to do with survival stress issues. In the conflict phase, there is a cell plus of hormone production of the adrenal and the noradrenal to help us cope in an unbearable situation. We get all the support of anticipation, the heart tremble, the higher blood pressure, the restlessness, and we can even have panic attacks here if we stay in this conflict for some longer time, and the feeling that the worst can happen. In the regeneration phase, the moment we resolve and release these survival issues, then the hormone production goes back to normal, and if there is a healing peak, it can be an adrenal stroke. So the adrenal energy is what causes us to stand up and do what we like to do each day. But if it's weak, then we can easily get low motivation. No energy support to do what we like to do during the day. It also means that we can be ungrounded. So we have an energetic cord from the tailbone to the center of the earth. Some people see it as tree branches out from underneath our feet all the way down to the center of the earth. That could be very weak, or it can also be cut off. It could be broken. But when you live your true life path, when you go back to the passion in life, then you have the possibility to get into the core of the adrenal, like the keyhole, and switch the whole hormone system from the old animal survival living to the more human, the light being expression, where the satisfaction of being, doing, and having a life that is aligned with your true self is present. I had a really beautiful experience because I've been flying a lot. I've been working all over the place, and this time I was going to London for an awakening training. What I didn't know was that the core of my eye, the core illusion of I was waking up. And before I knew about this, as I said, I was just boarding the plane. And for the first time, I looked at the wings and the engine, and I was like, how is it possible that a plane can actually fly? And I had some slight fear coming up in my system. And I've never had any fear of flying. So during that plane journey, I had some more fear coming up. And both me and my partner was traveling together. And we had I think he was 3 years old at the time, our son. He stayed home with our grandparents. So I had that feeling, that the fear of dying, that I wouldn't come back to my son. And during that awakening retreat, the I woke up, which means the deep-rooted I, the belief of I as a separated being, died, and it woke up. So on one level, it was true. I didn't come back to my son. That I didn't come back home to my son. So it's interesting to see that this is not just about physical survival, it's also part of the awakening process. Because the ego think it just loves to release itself, but it comes to a point that it likes to release everything that is related to a negative experience. But the truth is that the root of ego needs to die in order for us to wake up to who we truly are. So one person asked his guru, he said, "How will I feel when I wake up?" And the guru said, "The I that is asking won't be there to enjoy it." So take this metaphor also as an awareness that part of our transformation and the release of these deep survival patterns also has to do with ego's fight for survival. And when we can see that, we can just be with it, laugh with it, and say, wow, I understand that you don't like to die, and be with all the reactions around death. Because that is really unlocking this core place of survival issues, which is the adrenal medulla. What is my life path? Many people are asking that question and can't see it. That is often because we like to have a very clear picture, prefer coming from an angel in the sky telling us how important we are and how we are here to serve. It can happen, but it doesn't happen that often. I actually know a priest who had that experience after a severe accident. He had a light being coming into his room and told him, "You're here to be a priest," and told him quite specific about his mission. But that doesn't happen that often. Still, I don't know anyone that I asked that doesn't know what makes their heart sing. But very often people get overwhelmed with not knowing how to get there, or believe saying they can't make it. But we have to choose that path. We have to choose making our dream reality. And by choosing it, then taking guided steps, step by step. We get guidance every single step, but we can't get the whole plan before we start walking. How boring would that be if we knew everything, step by step, how it would happen? Then not many people would be excited. So part of the excitement is that we have a knowing, a dream in our heart, and then being part of the miracles or the guidance or the synchronicity that comes throughout the journey of actually fulfilling our dream. So one key to find out how you can serve is to ask yourself, what is the biggest transformation you have been through the last 1 to 3 years? Could be longer as well, but we are changing so much and so fast nowadays. This is where you are an expert. And people who are where you were before your transformation is there to be guided by you. When we serve from abundance, meaning we got that transformation in our life, we embodied that transformation, we live the freedom beyond that old block, then we can easily hold space for others, because we then are the transformation. Our being, our vibration is the healing for other people in that specific life area. So if you try to serve people from what you haven't yet embodied, then people feel that, and that doesn't lead to abundance. People don't really like to see someone that isn't yet an expert. So for example, if you don't have money, so if you haven't got abundance, and then you read The Secret and you say, hey, I can teach a workshop about The Secret, about the law of attraction in order to get more money, then probably you wouldn't have that many people on your course, because you haven't yet embodied that. But we all have had some transformations. I bet everyone who listened to this webinar have had several. So what has been the main transformation in your life? How did it feel? You know, if you go back before you had that, when you still felt stuck within that block, how did you feel? What would you have paid for someone to guide you through that quickly? That's your value. The problem here is that we often forget about this big transformation we have had, or we may remember them but we don't value them. We value what we haven't yet embodied. That's just who we are. But that's not where we should serve. We shouldn't serve what we haven't yet embodied. So if you just turn around to your past and start serving from what you have embodied, what you are true to yourself, what you are living in your life, then abundance will follow. And that's also your message to people. That could be someone who have been going through the loss of a partner, a really close one, let's say, the closest partner, and been depressed in sadness for some time, and then realizing a great method of therapy that released that grief within a few minutes or a few hours. That excitement of then helping other people in grief to release their sadness would be a great, great satisfaction. They would be an expert in releasing grief. And the more we have released, the more free we are in our life, the more people we can serve in different areas. We are healing for so many different areas when we are releasing our separated consciousness in each corner of our multidimensional being. So, when you know your soul gifts, it could be looked from astrology, numerology, Akashic record, human design. We can have a look at so many different levels at soul gifts, and then you add your life experience from this lifetime. Then you have a unique, abundant offer. When you're present with something that makes your heart sing, then ask yourself, what actions can you take today or tomorrow that brings you one step closer to living that? It's not just about releasing limiting decisions and resistance, but it's also about taking physical actions. Our adrenal cortex is a clear message for that. It is about moving in the right direction. And when we move, then we get energy to fulfill the next step. And also when we move, then we shift energy quicker in the third dimensional reality, in our physical reality. We manifest quicker. And after a while, you will actually live a life that makes your heart sing. And from that place, you can just expand, expand, and expand. That's beautiful. We are getting toward the end of this webinar, and I'm amazed how much we can learn from just one organ, one gland in the body, about the importance of living true to ourselves. So I guess you can imagine how much you can actually learn from all the organs and layers of organs in our body. And that is my special gift. I love assisting people to get in touch with the intelligence of their body and how it's showing us where we are blocking our soul gifts and our resources. I have seen time after time again that when we have the knowledge that every symptom is actually a message to us and how we can quickly get to the root of it, that is totally empowering people to let go of the fear and get into curiosity of what is the body telling me, what is actually the gift of releasing this block, who am I beyond this block. So I've created an online metamedicine training, and that is to make it easy for you to learn from where you like to learn, when you like to learn. And this training is all about what is the start of a disease, and what are the two phases of a disease process. So you saw in this webinar that we had a conflict phase and a regeneration phase, and when you know about them, then you can actually identify where you are in order to choose treatments that are supporting you to get through this natural disease process, working with the body. So you have the chance to learn about the conflicts behind each organ layer of the body, and also learn about the program that starts after a specific conflict. And you can also learn about the true purpose of the microbes in the healing process, and that's a total switch in itself. You will also learn how to do a meta-diagnosis, which means getting quickly to the root cause. And then the solution process, which is a multidimensional healing process. It's awareness that you can attach to any healing modality that you may already know, so that you are aware that healing the body is also becoming more true to who you are, living more true to your purpose and your life path. So this is 5 webinars that you can listen to at any time. You have access to them for life. And then you also have the chance to call in to live teleseminars 6 times. It's twice per month, so it's over a 3-month period, to take part of my expertise and guidance. So you have a forum where you can ask your questions that got to the surface when you listen to the recorded lessons. And I will also do meta diagnosis and demos during these forums, so that you get the chance to be guided by me and learn from other people's questions. So I just love these meta forums because the quality of the questions are great, the consciousness of the people are fantastic, and anyone can join this training. You don't have to be a therapist. You can be a private person that just like to get in contact and with intelligence of your body and how you can communicate with it and work with it towards health on all levels. I would love to meet you in a future meta forum, and I got a special offer for a limited time. You can read more about it on www.metamedicine.se/mm-special offer. On that page you get all the details about each recorded webinar as well as the meta forums, and you can read about a manual and PowerPoints of 4 brain maps, and a directory is included. And I've also added a few bonuses. So, to make it even easier for you to try this out, if it resonates for you, I also got a money back guarantee. So if you for any reason wouldn't find value, then I return you the money within the first 30 days. It hasn't happened so far, but just so you know, it's there. So again, I would love to meet you in a future meta forum. And the more of us that are really getting to know about these principles and embrace the intelligence of our body and just heal layer after layer and reconnect to our soul's highest path and purpose, then we get the fulfillment of being alive as well as healing the body. And of course, the more of us that are doing that will also change the healthcare around the world. So thank you so much for having listened to this webinar, and you're a great being, and I would love to meet you in the future. Bye for now.